Okay.
All right, we are live. Welcome everybody to the ISB Junior DP Parent Night. We are so happy to have you here. We wish we could have you in person and see these faces, but we are excited that we get to see your kids' faces every day in school this year. I want to talk a little bit about how the tech will work. We are on a Zoom meeting, and we will be broadcasting to a YouTube live stream. And so if you have questions, you can say something into the chat that's on the right-hand side. But I also have found it really effective to use a Padlet for questions. So I'm going to put a Padlet link. Oops. Oops. I'm going to put the link to the Padlet in the messages right now. So if you have a question, if you would use that Padlet to ask it, that would be great. I'm going to go back and check and see if our interpreters are here. Are they here?
They are.
Awesome. So let's go back here. I'm going to Moises and Fabio, which one of you will be going first? Because I think I can only make one of you an interpreter at a time. Sorry, for just a second, we're going to connect our interpreters.
Sorry, I was muted. I have a question for you. Is there going to be a separate room?
Yes,
for,
I'm gonna.
Simultaneous. Perfect.
Yeah, there will be, but I have to assign you to be the interpreters. And so which one of you will be going first?
I don't mind going first. I can go first.
Okay, is that Fabio that said that?
That's Fabio, yes, correct.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna assign you to interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
Just a second, everybody. We have to get this started.
I know we're gonna do one half of the presentation, and the other interpreter is gonna do the other half. I'm assuming something along those lines.
Assuming so, you'll do the first hour, and Moises can do the second hour.
That sounds good. Perfect.
It's fine with
All
me.
right. Okay. I am going to start the interpretation.
All right.
Tracy, should we be able to hear you? Because you're not coming through. For some reason, none of it's picking up. I'm not sure if that's because you're in the interpretation room or if you're out here.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. Actually, Mr. Guilford, could you explain, and would you be willing to explain in Spanish that we have an interpreter available if they come to the Zoom link in the chat on YouTube?
Sure. Is the actually you can have either Fabio or Moises do it.
Okay. Yeah.
So
okay. Moises, would you mind doing letting people know that there's interpretation available? The link to join the Zoom is in the chat in YouTube Live. I think we have one guest. Yeah.
Someone's in the waiting room. There we go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Moises, you're muted.
Moises, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, thank you. Okay.
Welcome. Sí, les queremos comunicar que si quieren comunicarse con nosotros vía Zoom, para efecto de que puedan tener la junta en español, son más que bienvenidos. En el chat, en el cuarto de conversación, ya se puso este link para que si necesitan que la interpretación sea español, con todo gusto estamos aquí para servirles. ¿Está?
Okay, and if you'll go to the next slide.
Okay.
Moises, would you mind, I know this is in English, but would you mind interpreting this for us for the people who just joined the Zoom link?
Of course.
Okay.
Right away. Esta reunión se va a conducir en más de un idioma simultáneamente. Así que les pedimos el favor que hagan clic en el botón de Zoom y cuando aparezca la ventana en el lenguaje de su preferencia, ustedes van a elegir, en caso de que sea uno más que el inglés, van a tener esa opción de escuchar nada más el lenguaje al que ustedes prefieran. Todo va a ser simultáneo. Entonces, si quieren, por ejemplo, poner la función de que se enmudezca la parte de inglés, igual le ponen clic en el icono que aparece y operan esa opción de que le pongan que esté mudo el lenguaje en donde ustedes no necesariamente van a ocupar, sino más bien que ustedes estén nada más escuchando el lenguaje de su preferencia. Done.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
All right. So we are about to start our program in just a moment. Now that we have the interpretation again, if you need Spanish interpretation, please join the Zoom link that was in the chat at any time, and we can and get you set up with the interpreter here. Please use the pad if you're just joining us. The first link that I put in the chat is a link to a Padlet where you can ask questions along the way, and at the end of the presentation, we will go over those questions. I think that's it for tech.
All right, let's go.
So just quick shout out. Thank you, Fabio and Moises, for helping with the interpretation tonight, and families for being patient while we got that running. Tracy, thank you for all the tech problem solving that I know sometimes this requires to make this flow smoothly. I am Andrew Guilford. I am the principal here at ISB, and just want to warmly welcome you to Junior Parent Night for class of 2023. And it's great to be back here in school live with students as your juniors begin this 2-year odyssey. And so welcome to that. And hopefully tonight will prove to be useful for you and informative for you, and that we'll be able to answer whatever questions do come up. I'm going to have the other folks in the room go ahead and introduce themselves who are here helping with the presentation tonight. You can see those names on the screen, and we'll just go in that order. And the prompt I've given them each to say after they've introduced themselves is 2 things. One, how long they've been at ISB for. And then the second part of it, what is it they love about the IB diploma program specifically? So it'll end up sounding something like this. I'm Andrew Guilford. I'm the principal at ISB. I've been here for about 4 months now. And one of the things that I think is amazing about the IB diploma program is the ability for students to make connections between and across content areas. Knowledge is something that's integrative, and knowledge is best utilized when it can be done in multiple fields, and skills best applied when you're done in multiple fields. And I think the IB diploma program sets students up to do this really well. And Scott, you're up.
Hi, everyone. My name is Scott Gladney. I'm the assistant principal, and I'm going on 10 years being here at ISB. More so than I'm going to tweak your your question a little bit. What I love about the IB diploma program at ISB is that that's all we do. We're all in it together, and kids support each other. The teachers support the students. And whether you've been with us a very short while, whether junior year is your first year, or you've been here a long time since 6th grade, you've got the skills and the ability to be successful, and we've got your back. And so it's an absolutely incredible place to work, and I love serving this community. I'll kick it to Amy Schuff.
Great, thank you. So I am Amy Schuff. I am the IB Diploma Program Coordinator. This is my 11th year here at ISB. And what I love about the IB Diploma Program, and really I would argue the middle years program as well, is that it really elevates and privileges critical reading, critical writing, and critical thinking. And I think that trifecta, those three things, sets students up like nothing to be able to be successful in whatever they choose to do once they leave our school or any school. I mean, I just feel like students who come from an IB background can tackle any challenge that comes their way. And I'm going to kick it to Catherine Hirsch.
Hi, everybody. I am Catherine Hirsch. I'm one of the school counselors, high school counselors at ISB. I work with all students with last names A through L. It is my 4th year at ISB. And there's a lot of things I love about ISB and the diploma program. One of the things I love, obviously, our community, kind of echoing what everyone else said, how everyone supports the diploma program at our school. And one of the other things is I've really enjoyed having students who are currently in college who come back to visit us and who let us know how much this program's prepared them for wherever they end up in their post-secondary plans. I'm always excited to hear that. So I will throw it to Tracy.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tracy Meilenberg. I am one of the high school counselors for students whose last names start with M through Z. This is my 9th year at ISB, and I certainly love this school. I not only am a counselor here, but I have currently have two daughters who go to ISB, and I have a third one who most likely will be there next year. We're still gonna let her decide, but I may just put in the option form for her. So I just love IB and I love ISB. And one of my favorite sayings is you can do hard things. And I feel like this program is a good example of that it shows students their abilities, and it presses them to the limits, but they come out stronger and ready to take on anything. I agree with everything that has been said before me.
So there's 3 kind of large questions we're hoping to answer for you for the evening, in addition to whatever smaller questions you put in the chat or on the posts that Tracy provided for you. But first, what is the IB diploma program? So when we talk about the DP or diploma program, what is that? What's expected of students? 2, why do the full diploma program? Why is it that we've set up a school to actually have every student go through and have the potential to earn a full IB diploma? And then lastly, what do you specifically as parents or guardians, what do you specifically need to know in order to best support your student? This is, like I said, it's an odyssey, and it's going to be a huge 2 years. And I think we are in this together as a team to ensure success for each of our students. So we're hoping that through the course of this evening, we'll be able to answer those 3 questions.
Great. So this is me. I want to make sure everybody is super clear on the broad strokes of what is the IB diploma program. So the IB diploma program, it is in fact a program. It's a 2-year course of study. So that's really important. It's 2 years. And students can take 3 higher level HL courses. It is possible to do 4. And they also take 3 standard level or SL courses. They could take 2. They have 6 courses, 4 and 2 or 3 and 3. They write an extended essay. It's about a 4,000 word essay. They take a theory of knowledge class. That's over junior and senior year. And they complete a full CAS program. CAS is creativity, activity, and service. When students earn earn a satisfactory score on all of the internal and external assessments, so the IAs and the external assessments for all of their 6 subjects, when they earn that passing score for TOK and their extended essay, and when they complete their CAS program, when they do all of that with a satisfactory score, they can earn an IB diploma. So basically, TOK, extended essay, and CAS, plus 3 HLs with no 2s. You can't have a 2 in an HL. You have to, with your 3 HLs, earn at least 12 points, and then 3 SLs with no limits there. And that will get you the IB diploma. And I think it's really important that everyone recognize that the IB diploma is not the diploma that you get for graduating from high school. When you earn a high school diploma, you graduate from high school, and then you don't even find out until July after you've graduated whether or not you got that IB diploma. So that's why we say you graduate as an IB diploma candidate, because you're a candidate in good standing for the diploma. So that's what that is. Okay, so the courses that they have to take, students have to take over the 2 years, they take 1 course from each of these groups. So group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4, group 5, group 6. Group 1 is the language of the school. In our case, it's English, and we offer English, Lang and Lit, language and literature. Group 2 is the language, the second language. That is, in our school, Chinese, Japanese, Spanish. There are some students who do self-taught language, literature. Instead of doing this course, they take 2 group 1s. Group 3 is individuals and societies. So in our school, we have 3 offerings for juniors. Everybody takes history for 2 years. And then some students have chosen to take for their group 6, which is essentially the arts, but also an elective. You could do here global politics or psychology. Group 4 is the sciences, the lab sciences, and experimental sciences. And in our school, every kid takes biology, and as your elective, one could take chemistry. Additionally, we have 3 different math courses. One of those courses is taught at 2 different levels, HL and SL, and the other math course is taught just at the SL level. And then we have the arts, which in our case is visual arts. And again, group 6 is an elective, which it could be an art. So I think this is an important diagram, because if you really look at it, the very center of the diagram is the student. And surrounding the student is, in fact, that IB learner profile, which is part of our school. It's the heart of our school, grades 6 through 12. The learner profile are the attributes that really make human beings wonderful people and great members of society and great friends and balanced and all of the things that are make us good people, essentially. Surrounding the learner profile are these 3 courses, or 3, it's called the core, and that's the TOK class, Theory of Knowledge. It's the extended essay, and it's creativity, activity, and service. This is an old one, it should say activity. These 3 things, if you see that they're a circle, they have to happen over the course of the 2 years. So that's called concurrency of learning. So it's over the course of 2 years. So TOK, second semester junior year, first semester senior year. The extended essay begins junior year and senior year. And creativity, activity, and service, CAS, starts in September of the junior year and goes all the way through March of the senior year. Okay, so the specifics of these 3 core items. The extended essay is an independently researched and written approximately 3,500 word, 4,000 word essay. This essay is the student chooses what they want to learn more about and get into an academic discipline using the language of that academic discipline and the concepts. They are supervised by an ISB faculty member, but anyone can help. And we have these completed pretty much by late October, early November of the senior year. For the class of 2023, this is a high school graduation requirement for our school. So this is a case where to get the BSD diploma, you have to do this IB requirement because we're an IB school. Theory of knowledge. Theory of knowledge is a 2-semester course. It really asks students to ask questions about what they know and about their experiences, specifically in terms of those 6 courses that they're taking. So what is knowledge in the sciences? What is knowledge in the arts? What is certainty or proof in mathematics versus, say, human sciences, those sorts of things. So it's a marvelous class that, again, my thing I love about IB is the critical thinking, critical reading, critical writing, and TOK is the heart of that. And then CAS. IB believes, we all believe, that school and being a human being is much more than academics. It's about coursework. And that, I mean, it's not about coursework. So it's about the learning outside of school through these strands of creativity, activity, and service. Students initiate ideas and experiences. They collaborate in creating a CAS project. They do activities, they reflect on these activities, and this counts over the 2 years. And this is concurrent with their academics. We ask students to use a software program, an online program called ManageBack. That's where all of the CAS, actually the CAS, extended essay, and TOK lives in ManageBack. The idea here is that really it's about balance, being a balanced person, that going for a run, walking the dog, taking an art class, and practicing piano and doing sports and doing clubs. That's such a huge part of what it is to be a person. And then to be a reflective person means to think about, how am I growing? How am I learning through doing these activities? So IB, I think, for the layperson, is famous for the assessments, and everyone knows about the IB exams, but IB assessments are much more than the IB exams. So the way it works is this. So IB awards a course score. You get a score for the course, and it's on a scale of 1 to 7. Many people here are familiar with the 1 to 8. That's an MYP thing, but that's for grading criteria. But the actual course is scored on a 1 to 7. And this 1 to 7 is based on the internal assessments and all of the different external assessments. So this is what this looks like. The IAs are the internal assessments. Most of them are done senior year. At our school, theory of knowledge IA is done junior year. Psychology is also done junior year. It is internally assessed work. So if you think about it, this is the actual practicum, if you will, the practical application of this study. So in history, what do historians do? They write research papers. They do research and write it up, synthesizing a bunch of ideas. So the IA for history is a historical investigation. What do psychologists do? They replicate studies in order to understand a theory, whether or not a theory is credible or not. In psychology, the IA, students will replicate a study and do their own analysis of the work that they pull together, their data, and then figure out whether or not the theory is valid. In art, what do artists do? They do a portfolio of their work. So that's what happens in visual arts. And this is the case for each of their IB courses. And then this work is moderated by the IB. So this is where students are not scored. Basically, teachers are scored by IB to make sure that teachers are in line with those international standards. There are also external assessments. These are your exams that happen in May of the senior year, but also their essays, which are sent out. So there's a couple different courses where there's externally assessed work. So, and then you have the IB exams, which take place in May, and they are anywhere from 1 day to 3 days long. We register for exams, or for courses actually. That happens in early November, late October every year. And so I'm in the process right now of thinking about the seniors and their registration. And the cost of this is it's a high price. It's expensive. There's no question about it. It's actually cheaper than it would be, because the state of Oregon, for the class of 2022, and I can't speak to 2023, they haven't released the information yet. They are providing $25 per course registration. So the state of Oregon, the taxpayers, thank you very much, are paying for that for students. So the cost for this year's seniors for the full diploma program is $572, and that includes postage, shipping and handling, if you will. If a student qualifies for the free and reduced meal program, exams are free. Period. No questions asked there. So how do we do at ISB? We do really, really well. I mean, we are a lottery school. We are IB for all. We have kids coming from all walks of life at our school. And most of our students tend to be IB diploma candidates, which means they test, they do all those required elements. And of the ones who go for it and do the whole thing, over 70% every single year consistently get that IB diploma. It's pretty amazing. For the past 4 years, we have averaged about 29, 31 point diploma for this last graduating class. So the average diploma was a 31 point diploma. I think the highest diploma last year was 42 points. The bare minimum you need to get through it and get that IB diploma is 24 points. So hopefully that puts it in context for you. So that is a broad overview of what the IB diploma program is all about.
So as Amy was describing sort of the scope of the coursework, as well as many of the additional requirements that students will have in order to be able to achieve the full IB diploma, there is support that has to happen along the way in order to make this happen. It takes a village. And just really shout out, kudos to Amy, because she kind of acts as a second counselor to a lot of these students. One, she's coordinating things, the logistics side of it in terms of exams and in terms of submission of IAs and all those kinds of things that have to happen. But she's also really rallying each kid. And I've observed this directly, that the role of the IBD coordinator is one in which to act as cheerleader number one for each of those kids, but also as somebody the kid can sit down with, a student can sit down with and really think through and think out loud the experience they're undergoing and also whatever academic difficulties they might be having along the way. I've seen Amy on the phone with families who are considering moving to the school here. I've seen correspondence that she's shared with families from overseas who are considering moving to Oregon and want their kids in the school. So really the IB coordinator acts as support for the students, both in terms of the logistics side, as well as really a social emotional support as well. We also have a CAS coordinator. So like Amy was describing earlier, each student is responsible for activities and projects that get at their creativity, their activity and service. And that all has to be coordinated, both in terms of helping students brainstorm ideas for projects, but as well as making sure those students are on track. And so Cindy Dickerson is our CAS coordinator and works closely with those students over those 2 years to make sure that they're getting their CAS requirements completed. We also have opportunity for them at the end of their junior year to take one of their classes that focus solely on the extended essay. And throughout that last quarter of the year, as they're in that class looking at their extended essay, hopefully they're going into the summer with a really good sense of what their question is and a really solid outline of in order to be able to begin writing, and also obviously a annotated bibliography. So they have a bunch of sources at that point. They have a sense of where they're going to go with it. And then many students spend some time over the summer actually working on that extended essay so they're ready to go in fall to make final revisions. We had a wonderful day-long retreat sometime in mid-August in which all of our incoming seniors came in for a day, which was not a typical school day, worked on their extended essays with support from their advisors and the extended essay coordinator, as well as IB coordinator, and then also had a time just to sort of relax with each other and a little bit of a senior class reunion to kick off the year. Obviously, both Catherine and Tracy are very familiar with the IB and its demands. And we know for a lot of kids or a lot of our students, they place high demands on themselves. And so we have students who find these 2 years, while rewarding and while challenging, also to be stressful. And so we recognize the need to have ongoing social, emotional, and mental health care for our students. And that's true regardless of whether this is about the IB or not. Honestly, being a student today and being in school today, especially in the current climate of the pandemic, support is needed all the time, and we want to offer that. Okay, yep, keep going. So students both in their junior year and senior year have an IB seminar class, which acts as an extra support class for students to have extra time to study, to get help from teachers as needed. TOKs gets combined with that. Some students have AVID combined with that as well. So another whole set of supports that are in there to ensure students are accessing teachers as they need to. We also have, obviously, I don't know if this is on the list or not, but access tutorial once a week in which students can have dedicated time with teachers when they need extra help in any of their core content areas. And I think, when I first came on as principal here last spring, or began as sort of the transition, one of the things I did is I met with a lot of individual teachers and asked them, one of the questions I had for them was, what's great about ISB? And a common refrain, which I have now seen really clear evidence of as we are here, our teachers are so incredibly committed to the success for each student. Like Amy said earlier, we are in a very diverse school, and honestly, our students come to us with all sorts of different readiness levels, but we have made a commitment to ensure each student is set up to achieve that IB diploma. And so that comes with a commitment from those individual teachers to support students as they need it. And so we begin to not only structure our schedule, but our grading system, our feedback systems, and our counseling systems to make sure students are receiving that support they need for that success. And even though students are pushing themselves very hard, we try to avoid a culture of competition. Students naturally form collaborative groups. Some teachers within their classes very intentionally form collaborative study groups for students. I actually was doing an interview with a student today, a junior, and I asked her about that specifically. I said, well, how, are you connected with other students in your grade around getting help and studying together? She said, oh, yeah, there's a whole junior class group chat that we're all on. And she said, people are on there all the time saying, hey, how did you do this math? Or, hey, somebody have an idea about how, what we need to have in that lab write-up for science. And so there's really an amazing support network between the students. Part of it is many have known each other since 6th grade. And so those relationships run deep. And they're leveraging those relationships now in their junior and senior year for that support. So obviously this is a partnership, and success is going to happen when we have support from families as well, and families are buying into this incredible journey we are leading students on. So there's a variety of ways you can support your student, and I can't remember if it's Trace or Catherine, if you got the slideshow, but just go ahead and put up all the bullet points and I'll talk them through. So there's a shift that happens with junior year, both I think social emotionally for students, but also academically. There's going to be highs and lows. That is a normal part of this year. It's really a normal part of the next 2 years. And, we call that some drama, but the truth is it's kids growing up, and how frustrating it can be, but how exciting it can also be to be with them on that journey. So expect it, know that it's coming. And sometimes we'll cry with our kids together. Sometimes we'll laugh with them together. And certainly we will celebrate their success together. As students are thinking about CAS, be thinking about things that you are already doing as a family. These are things that are creative, things that relate to activity, service. If your family volunteers places, fantastic. If your student is naturally creative, is into art, even outside of school, there's ways they can do that art creation and make that part of CAS. So start by thinking about ideas of things that you already do together or things that your student likes to do, and let's leverage that and capitalize on that. There's a lot of additional web information about the diploma program on the ISB website. Please take a look there. There's a whole section on IB that has links directly to the International Baccalaureate Organization that has further information that goes into great detail. Amy is also happy to help you interpret any of that if some of that seems confusing or unclear. The extended essay is one of those things where students will have emotional highs and lows. It's definitely an emotional high because it's an opportunity for a student to pursue a passion, and they can start thinking about that now, what it is they would want to spend a considerable chunk of time exploring at a deeper level. And it can also be an emotional low because it's incredibly challenging to essentially write an original paper, synthesizing original ideas on a topic of their interest. And so there's challenges, but there's rewards to it as well. I think the key to that is ensuring the student loves their topic. So as they're sticking with it over a 6-month period, it still means something to them in November when they're all done with it, as much as it did in March when they started. This is something we've talked a lot about as a staff and are talking with students about. Obviously, this is going to require a lot of time to study, a lot of time for students to focus, but students have to have balance. And it's okay to pull your kid away from their homework and force them to go out to dinner with you because you know it's going to be an enjoyable evening, or head on over to the coast for a Saturday so you can check out the ocean and enjoy your time there. We are looking at ways internally inside the school to make sure students maintain balance, to make sure students can laugh at themselves and laugh with each other. And we strongly encourage you to do that at home as well, as much as you can.
Amy, you have to unmute, I believe.
For some, that means learning from a curriculum known as the International Baccalaureate, an academic program growing in popularity that's used in close to 5,000 schools around the world. Schools say the rigorous course load is why they offer the program, which is now in its 50th year. NewsHour Weekend sat down with the first female head of the foundation that develops the curriculum to discuss how it's preparing students to compete in a globally connected world. Christopher Booker has more.
And what you have to do is completely different.
Dr. Siva Kumari is on the road a lot, often meeting with educators from around the world. She's head of the International Baccalaureate Foundation, or IB for short. The organization develops curricula, also called IB, for students around the world. The foundation was started in Switzerland back in 1968.
We were created as a reaction to the world wars 50 years ago. Essentially, a group of international educators, including those from America, came together to say education is more than just about academic achievement.
To design an education program that promoted more than just test results, the founders looked to the progressive learning philosophies of the time. So instead of teaching rote memorization, they pushed analytical thinking. The first students to use IB often came from elite international families. But 50 years later, IB can be found in both public and private schools around the world. More than 1,800 in the US alone, educating students from different socioeconomic backgrounds. It consists of curricula for students 3 through 19. There are elementary, middle, and high school specific programs, as well as ones related to careers, all aiming to foster independent, curious students.
We want to create children who are able to think critically, solve problems, able to write, to explain, to be focused on what they're doing, and to own the learning.
The curricula includes standard subjects like English, science, and math, but students also take design classes to develop their ability to create products. In middle school, subjects are combined to study how concepts overlap.
We are beginning to move towards a monoculture.
IB approaches learning from a worldwide perspective, teaching students not just about local issues, but global ones as well. Studying a foreign language is required. The goal of it all is an interdisciplinary approach to the complex world the students will enter.
We try to understand what is the psychology, what is the brain functioning of the child at that point. How do you take chances? How do you fail? The ability of the child, even at that level and the primary level, to be able to speak and to defend their thinking.
But with a set framework of elements for students to learn, some educators are concerned too much control rests with an international organization and not enough at the local school level. Siva Kumari rejects that assessment.
It's a misnomer that we're sitting somewhere in some ivory tower and controlling the world. We have no such interest. The reason I think it works is we don't mandate exactly what happens in a local school.
Please remember that you can always practice on another piece of paper.
Kathleen Buzzoni is an art teacher and coordinates the IB program for Brooklyn Latin, a public high school in New York City. She says that one thing that attracted the school to IB is its progressive philosophy. Less instruction from a teacher and more active student participation in class.
And that sounds so cliche, right? In education today, we all say like student-centered is best. But for me as a teacher, that was where I realized that's where the magic happens. That's where the students grow and learn the most, is if you help and encourage them and coach them rather than tell them and demand from them.
At Brooklyn Latin, all 11th and 12th grade students use what's called the IB Diploma program. It's a choice that a school might make instead of, say, offering advanced placement courses. The curriculum has 6 subjects, including art and science. And in order to receive an IB diploma, students must pass IB's own exams. But it goes further, requiring both community service and a 4,000-word independent research paper.
The IB is not about one singular exam. So for one course, a student might do a group project or do an oral commentary, but then they might also do an extended writing, and then they might sit down in May and take a timed exam. But each course has at least 3 different assessments that combine together to give them a score. That is so unique and important because our students are not all perfect at taking multiple choice exams. This gives them the ability to show their excellence in several different ways.
But for all the benefits that Buzzoni sees in IB, she's also concerned about the program's cost. And she's not alone. Educators around the world have called the program expensive. To cover operational costs, the foundation charges fees for its various programs and services. Buzzoni estimates Brooklyn Latin pays about $1,000 for exams and fees for each 12th grader.
The IB does amazing things, but it costs a lot to help to manage that program. And as a public school, that's a lot of money when we have 189 seniors this past year.
But IB representatives say it's worth it. And Siva Kumari stresses that the programs produce students ready for higher education. 78% of IB diploma students go on to college right after graduation.
The successful IB student is one in whatever field they've chosen, that they're able to be the person that colleagues consider this is a mindful person who asks the right questions, who is able to drive consensus, who's able to provide the long view on things, and be the wise person in the room.
For students across the country, the school year is underway.
All right, I think I am up. I'm not sure if you all could see Amy Schuff's face during that video, but I love her love for the IB program and how I could see the hearts in her eyes. And I love that she is our coordinator at our school. So talking about the benefits of the IB can be tangible too. So just talking about some of the benefits of the DP program. We were talking about total scores. So students with the total score in IB coursework of 30 or higher are eligible to receive a renewable scholarship of at least $3,000 at some public Oregon universities and Pacific University, as well as sophomore standing.
And Catherine, I'm going to stop you right there. We had a question on the Padlet, and this is actually a good time. Amy, if you could explain the points again. We had a question about what did the points mean. Could you just go over that one more time?
Absolutely. So each course is scored on a scale of 1 to 7. There are 6 courses. So 6 times 7 is 42-point diploma. And it's possible to earn 3 more points, up to 3 more points for the extended essay and for TOK. If you scored A in both of those, you can get a combination point of 3 points. So the perfect IB diploma is 45 points. And there are hundreds, not thousands, hundreds of students around the world who are working for a 45-point diploma. In the United States, I think that's not the priority of perfection. We are delighted to see students earn 5s in courses as opposed to earning 7s. 7s are great, 6s are great, 5s are great. In the state of Oregon, 4s are great. 4s will earn you college credit. So at all the public universities in the state of Oregon. So that's how the scores are calculated. So a scale of 1 to 7, and that 1 to 7 comes from the variety of assessments that are specific to each of those courses.
So the benefits are the scholarships and then also credits at different universities. A lot of those are school specific. So Ms. Meilenberg and I, a lot of times when we meet with students and they have certain schools in mind, we'll go to that school's website, or if you just type in that school's name into Google and put IB scores, you usually will come up with a chart, and it kind of guides you through what the college's IB credit policy is. It will tell you what you need to score on certain exams and what that equivalent credit is at that school.
Oh. Sorry, I was going to tell my children to be a little bit quieter. We just want to tell you that your students, there are 5 main factors that colleges consider when they are evaluating the application. But the number one thing that colleges look at is what courses did you take in high school and how well did you do in those courses? And so when we tell this to our juniors, we already say, you couldn't have chosen a more college preparatory program than deciding to stay in the IB program. It is a fantastic preparation, and colleges know that. And so colleges know that if you can be successful in IB, you will be successful in college, period. Just going to go over a little bit about college info. Your counselor is here to help you. They can set up an appointment anytime. If they go to the class of 2023 Canvas page, they can find a link to set up an appointment with us at any time that they need to. We also post a lot of information on that ISB or that class of 2023 Canvas page. So make sure that you're checking that. It's kind of blank right now, but over the course of the year, it will fill up with a lot of information. We also send a lot of information about email. So now's the time to get in through email. So now is the time to get in the habit of checking your email often. In the spring, we will have a junior meeting where we meet with each of our juniors and we go over their plan. We check and make sure that they're on track for graduation. And we talk about what their post-graduation plans are. And we really set up each individual student as much as we can for success in their senior year and beyond. This is just a resource that I really like. It's Oregon Goes to College. It's a plan. You can find checklists there for the junior year and things that you should be doing. You should be taking the SAT or ACT, just things that you should be doing in general to make sure that you're on track for college. I'll put that link into the chat.
This is my last thing is IB has so many rules and regulations about those exams that happen in the month of May. We have to have many people for each exam. So if you think about it, there's 3 exams for biology. I need adults in the room for each one of those exams, and that's just one course. So the word is proctor or supervise. In British, though, it's invigilate. So it's a very IB term. So we need help invigilating exams during the month of May. Senior parents cannot invigilate their own children. Junior parents, though, often serve this role. And this is a way for them also to see, okay, this is what you're being prepared for. And the beauty of this is you see and hear your child over the course of a year and a half, complaining about a class or whatever. And then you go to that exam to help invigilate, and you see every student head down, know exactly what to do. And they are so well prepared for these exams. And they are like, wow, look what my kid is doing. It's kind of a miracle moment for many, many parents. I've done this dozens and dozens and dozens of times and worked with all kinds of parents, and they're always blown away to see what their child is capable of doing. So I'm going to be emailing the entire junior class, all parents, probably via Synergy, to see if you would be willing to help me out. I hope that maybe you'd be willing to give up an afternoon or a morning to sit and watch seniors test. That's what you'd be doing. So will you please answer the call to volunteer when you get my email in April? And this is our last slide. We have a few minutes if there are questions on the Padlet or if there's anything in the YouTube chat. I'm going to stop the share and go here.
I think there was a couple questions in the Padlet. Tracy, do you maybe want to read those out loud and then?
Yeah.
Can answer them?
So Amy or anybody, but I think of Amy first. Could you give some more concrete examples of CAS?
So CAS can be a one day, we're going to clean up the neighborhood. I just walked outside the other day and two of my neighbors were walking by with big bags of garbage. There was something in my neighborhood association where they put something together and people could volunteer for that. You don't even have to have someone, though, put out something on Facebook or something about, hey, we're collecting up garbage. You could do that yourself. So a big part of CAS is taking initiative, seeing a need, and then figuring out how to fill that need. So CAS is creativity that's coming up with the idea and figuring out how to implement it. Activity is anything that makes you sweat. So it could be brisk paced dog walking to working for the gold medal in fencing. Whatever it is in between there, could be your soccer team, it could be dance class, it could be, I'm going to really master the Jane Fonda aerobics program, whatever that is that gets you sweaty. And then service is service. And service is really about, again, serving your community. Your community could be ISB, it could be the junior class. The community could also be ALOA, could be Beaverton, could be Oregon, and could be an interesting organization that you're working with that maybe promotes something in Zimbabwe. Anything in between, all of that, where you're finding a need and figuring out how to serve. In addition to these various activities, students are required to do a CAS project. It's a project. And this is a collaborative experience that is of significant duration, and students can determine what that means. And it's more than one student of significant duration, and it has to hit at least two of the three C, A, and S. So here's one of my favorite examples. There's so many good examples. We had a kid who played. He swam club swimming. He did club swimming. I don't remember who it was through. And there were other IB students as well on his swim team. And maybe 5 of them came together and they decided to create a swimathon at Hag Lake. So open water swimming. It was a one-day swimathon, and they got people to raise money for, I can't remember what the cause was, but they raised money through swimming, service, and then the coming up with it, making it happen. They had some food cart come and they figured out like all of the logistics, and they had all these families and friends come and celebrate them when they were doing it was like a 12-hour swim thing. It was really cool. So that's a great example. Another example for people who are not on a natural team is we had 2 students who were inherently very, very unfit people, and they decided to take it upon themselves to learn how to do long distance bicycling. So they literally had to find bikes. They had to clean up the bikes. They had to learn how to change a tire. They had to learn all of you need to know about bicycling. In addition to that, they had to get the gear. They had to figure out a training program from bicycling 10 miles to figuring out a long distance ride. They figured the whole thing out, and their CAS project culminated in the 2 of them bicycling from ISB to Shampooey State Park, sleeping, spending the night there, and cycling back. I mean, that to me is like the epitome of CAS. I got news for you. Years from now, they're not going to remember back a lesson about Meiji Japan or a lesson about neurotransmitters or anything like that, but they will forever remember that bike trip. And that's the purpose of CAS, is to help students really have awesome things that they can remember from high school that goes beyond the academics.
Thank you, Amy. Catherine, I am going to give you this one. Given how late the IB exams happen with students already admitted to college, how do they stay motivated?
How do they stay motivated? Well, so I'm thinking of how to. So the IB exams, what Ms. Schuff was saying, they don't get their scores till I want to say mid-July, Ms. Schuff, right? So, I mean, it all depends on, I think what definitely motivates students is seeing that chart that we were talking about with scores for the different universities. And once students see what they need to score in order to get some credits, and also knowing some upperclassmen who go in and are sophomore standing, entering college, I think that is a huge motivator. So I think it all starts at seeing what those scores can get you at those universities. I don't know if anyone wants to add anything.
I think also they see the end. They've been working on this program. Some of them have been working toward this since they were sixth graders. And so it's the culmination. Like sometimes it's only that, like, I just want to complete what I started 7 years ago. but the college credits are definitely a big carrot at the end.
Another thing that motivates them is each other. The community the month of May is magical at ISB when you see an entire group of kids, like they are working together and making things happen and study grouping and meeting and organizing, and they are concept mapping and reviewing and quizzing each other and working through studying for these exams, and they drag each other through it too. And that's another marvelous thing about doing this at ISB.
And then our last question, I think I will answer just because it's one that we get a lot and I know it well. If a student does not get enough points for the IB diploma, will they still have a BSD diploma? And the answer to that is yes. So the IB diploma and the BSD diploma or the Oregon diploma are not the same thing. So to get a high school diploma in the state of Oregon through Beaverton School District, you need 4 years of English, 3 years of social studies, 3 years of science, 3 years of math, and then some other credits, PE, health, things like that. And we fulfill all of those requirements through the IB program. So the IB diploma is through the IB organization, which is an outside entity, and it's just certifying that they've done the work to get the college credits. But it's not the equivalent to the high school diploma. So hopefully that answered that question. And I'm not seeing, let me check the YouTube channel again. If you have any other questions, you can either just type them right into the YouTube chat or you can put them on the Padlet. We'll give it another second. And then if not, I think we've ended right exactly on time, which is like a miracle.
And I just want to throw in there, I mean, even if you have no questions right now, as things come to you in the coming days, please feel free to reach out to any of us here on this call. Like we said earlier, we're committed to success for your student. And so we want to be able to support you and your understanding of this program as we go along as well.
All right, I don't think I'm seeing any other questions. So thank you so much for coming tonight, and thank you for doing this virtually again. I also personally, I didn't ask anybody if I should do this, but we would love feedback too on whether you like doing, even after the pandemic is over, if you like doing these parent nights online, or if you would like to go back to having them in person, or a combo of both. That will be feedback we'll be asking for over time. All right, thank you. All right.